lovely listeners. It's the host of your favorite new horror movie review podcast, Uncle Ben, and who's out on the other end of this Skype call?
Hollywood Steven Spratling.
Oh, Hollywood Steve. How's things been over there in them Hollywood hills of Los Angeles?
You know, I don't think I've been to Hollywood in a couple weeks.
Bullshit.
I can tell you how Koreatown, Silver Lake, and Los Feliz are doing.
I've heard that Silver Lake is just full of the gluten-free.
Yeah, Silver Lake is pretty hipster. It's there's a dog park there though that we go to pretty often. It's a nice area.
That's what I've heard. I like things that are nice.
Yeah, it didn't used to be the nicest area, but it's there's still houses when you drive through there that it's like, whoa, like, because the houses around there are now valuable, but there's still some that are kind of run down, and it's like, man, whoever owns that is either like dragging their feet or really waiting for the property values to go up.
They're just dragging the curve down in general, just trying to keep real estate prices from getting too terribly high.
Yeah, I live in Koreatown, which I love. There's so much good food in Koreatown.
Oh, God. Do you just, like, chow on a bulgogi on the daily?
No, actually, we live in a Hispanic part of Koreatown, and they're...
What a crossing of cultures.
It's great. We live near... we live closer, say, to, like, Rampart Village, Echo Park area, and... The food around here is great. There is great Korean food. There's also great Pakistani, really good taco trucks, and just taco shopping carts.
I like to imagine that in Koreatown there is the Mexican section that also has a Pakistani section.
Koreatown is a big salad bowl. It is not a melting pot.
It is a salad bowl mishmash.
Yeah, it's great. I love it,
and it's better for it.
Yeah, for real.
God knows the food is fucking better for it, because American food sucks dick.
I love me some French fries, some hamburgers, pizza. Those are American foods.
Shut the fuck up. Things have been good out here in Tennessee, man. It's been getting that good old June humidity going on. It's starting to get good and humid and stuff here. It's starting to feel pretty great. I like it when it's a little humid. I know that, dude, people complain about it in the South, like, oh, the humidity, but to me it makes it, like, easier to breathe.
Yeah, you wake up in the morning on those real, like, humid early summer days, and it's just perfect. It's so great.
I think it's awesome. So it's been good. And the other day I had the immense pleasure of playing guitar at a wedding of a good friend, my good buddy Gabe Crisp from the band Whitechapel.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he was getting hitched up to his beautiful girl, Karina, and they asked me to play guitar at their wedding. So I brought my man, Phil Sandifer, along from my band Far, Far Away. We have our little acoustic duo that we do, which is called Mild Stallions.
That's so fucking awesome. Oh, man.
Coming in mild.
Be pretty great to each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the crowd goes mild.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, it's fine. And we turned that fucking wedding into damn Bonnaroo. I looked out there while people were getting seated. The grandparents were bouncing beach balls around. I don't even know where those came from.
Were people drunkenly shouting Bonnaroo? My Bonnaroo experience was that people drunkenly shout Bonnaroo. Like, it's pretty great. I actually enjoyed Bonnaroo. I'm not a big concert person. Yeah. I believe I've told you before that the concerts I have seen the most involved you. So.
Yeah, well, yeah. Hey, I mean, if you're going to go all out.
Yeah, which is also true of you.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I've been to most of my concerts than anybody.
Yeah. I don't generally.
Funny.
Yeah. I don't. I say if it's too loud, turn it down. I'm an old man. I wear earplugs to every concert I go to.
Here's something that might strike some of our viewers that know me as a rock and roller and heavy metaler kind of funny. Well, for one, I also wear earplugs at every band practice, every rehearsal, every concert I play, every concert I ever go to. I always wear earplugs, always.
It's a responsible thing to do.
I mean, it's just smart. Also, I hate loud noises.
Me too. Dude.
I do. Like, I fucking hate them. Like, to the extent, dude, it's to the extent that, like, I will mix something with a fork or a wooden spoon in a bowl for, like, 30 minutes rather than get out a hand mixer and turn it on, because it's just so fucking loud and annoying.
So loud, yeah. We're two dudes who love metal, love punk, don't like loud noises.
And I'll be real with you, man. Like, most all heavy metal concerts seriously are a bunch of racket. Like, if you don't know the songs, they just sound like noise. They would benefit from being turned down about 50 decibels. I know that a lot of average, music listeners, they want to go to a show and feel their clothes moving from the audio and stuff, but it's like, really, it doesn't sound very good. There's exceptions, of course. There's several heavy metal bands that sound incredible live, but most of the time, they would benefit from turning the fuck down.
Yeah, agreed. Now, that's the old man section of our podcast.
Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is Werther's Originals.
Yeah, and staying off my damn lawn. Like, seriously.
Yeah, but you know what? The movie that we're going to be talking about today actually does feature the good old classic coffee table bowl of sugary hard candies that are all stuck together. It does feature some of that.
Oh, man.
So that's somewhat of a transition.
Did you have a grandparent or anyone growing up who had just a bowl of dusty hard candies?
I did. They had the good old traditional glass bowl of like, like the ribbon candies and stuff like this. That were all set. They'd all be different colors, and you'd think maybe this one will be lemon, and you try it, and it's like, nope, it's just sugar.
Just sugar. Yeah, my great grandmother, who died a few years back. She made it pretty long. She had this. It was like a green glass bowl. She collected a lot of strange color glasses, which apparently are valuable. I didn't know that.
Depression glasses?
Yeah. She had this green glass bowl that I swear my cousins and I would always be like, I think that's the same candy from last year. Like,
oh, it was, dude.
Yeah, it would have dust on it. Like,
ugh.
But people, like, that was an expectation back in the day, was that you'd have some different colored but same tasting candies just out on your table.
Well, she was saving them for the war effort.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, for the war effort.
You leave them out for the boys in blue.
Because when the boys in blue come down your chimney to bring your war bonds, they want candy.
No, I remember all that. Convoluted.
Yeah, no, that's the tale. Yeah, I remember that. I remember there was a fireside chat with FDR, and he told that story.
Oh. Have you been watching any good flicks or anything lately, Steve?
Oh my gosh, I have been on a tear recently, just watching a lot of stuff. And I don't know why I haven't had just particular time to be watching stuff, but I put Tremors on the other day. If you've never seen Tremors or any of the direct-to-video sequels, you owe it to yourself. Tremors is a good old redneck fun time monster movie.
I'll tell you this, Steve, I've never watched them.
You know what? Check it out. The first one's got Kevin Bacon, and the town says you can't dance anymore or something.
No way.
Yeah, they say, yeah.
Does he also turn into Hollow Man?
Yeah, the town says you can't dance. He turns invisible, and he dances up a storm and the big sandworm, so...
And then he gets an arrow through his throat.
Yep. That's Kevin Bacon. Actually, speaking though of arrow through the throat, I've been watching some Tom Savini movies too. I watched The Prowler.
Yes, I love that one, man.
Yeah, I watched The Prowler and watched The Burning on your recommendation.
Fuck yes. Okay, did you like The Burning?
Yes, The Burning. Have you seen Wet Hot American Summer?
No. Oh, wait.
Not.
That's the new one, the funny one, right?
Wet Hot American Summer has Ken Marino, a ton of different people. It's David Wayne, Michael Showalter, like a ton of people. So great.
I've watched the series, but I've not seen the movie.
Well, the series is amazing, but check out the movie.
Okay.
That is very obviously influenced by The Burning and Sleepaway Camp.
Oh, shit. Oh, I'm totally on board then.
Yeah, so, like, I really do like The Burning. It's just in the same way as Sleepaway Camp, like, so much, like, crude, stupid humor that, like, tells you, like, doesn't make you laugh, but tells you more about the characters you're dealing with, about how, like, their minds work and how, like, you know, teenage or sex obsessed, etc. they are.
Oh, yeah.
And then just great special effects. Like,
Yes.
Tom Savini is so amazing. So,
you know, he turned down doing Friday the 13th Part 2 to do that movie.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I really want to do it on the show sometime because it is one of my favorite camp slashers. Yeah. As you know, I'm a sucker for a camp slasher. That's one of my favorite kind of subgenres of movies. So
it's also got George Costanza in it.
Yeah, and his ass.
Yeah, and Fisher Stevens is in it.
Holly Hunter,
yeah, a few other recognizable faces, like a real low budget movie that I was surprised when you told me about it that I hadn't seen it as a young man, but it's good, it's fun.
And The Prowler is pretty cool too. It's not really a super exciting movie, but the kills are really good.
The kills are great. Yeah,
dude, that pitchfork kill in the shower stall.
Oh. That was brutal. That actress played that so well because she's not just screaming at the top of her lungs. She sounds like genuinely panicked.
Yeah, and she's like grabbing onto the pitchfork and stuff as it's like stuck in her and shit. It's awesome.
Yeah. That was a really good kill scene. Really enjoyed that.
There's several in there. That's a pretty fun watch. Again, maybe not the most thrilling. There's some glaring holes in the story and stuff too, but it's worth watching for Savini's work.
Yeah. What have you been up to, Ben?
I've mostly been watching a bunch of different TV series. There's kind of too much stuff online streaming right now, so we just watched
so much good stuff. Yeah.
Oh man, we just watched the newest episode of Handmaid's Tale, which was really fucking awesome. That series has been killer. It's on Hulu. It's been fantastic. We just watched the newest episode of that, which I think it's maybe the second to last episode, and then after that we watched the last episode of the newest Kimmy Schmidt season 3.
Oh yeah,
which was hilarious. It's fucking so funny.
Season 3 was so good. It was so good.
Yes, it ramped up the weirdness to like 11, and it's fucking great. I really enjoy it. And we started watching Master of None, which has been great so far. We're maybe 2 or 3 in, not super deep, but I've really enjoyed it, and I'm trying to get through that. That way we can start watching Orange is the New Black. I really just need to take time off from work to watch TV.
Watch TV, yeah.
It's important.
There's a really good Portlandia sketch, which I think is based more in how fucking awesome Battlestar Galactica is, but it's basically that. They quit their jobs to watch Battlestar Galactica.
Awesome. My wife loves a B-Star G. I've never watched it. I've never watched it.
Watch it. What is wrong with you? Stop your life. Just go right now.
I was homeschooled. Well, this week, one of the main things, the most important things that we watched is a little old talkie, directed, written, and edited by Ty West by the name of The House of the Devil, which came out, 2009, right?
Yes, it was 2009. October 30th, 2009, even.
Oh, shit.
The day before Halloween.
Halloween Eve. I love this movie.
I do too. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of this movie. Huge fan of Ty West in general. I actually wanted to watch. He has a movie that's more recent, In a Valley of Violence. I wanted to watch that before we got to this,
so I don't know that one.
It's a western. It's got John Travolta and Ethan Hawke.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it has good reviews. I'm very interested in seeing it because it's, again, love Ty West.
Wow, I didn't even know about that. That's cool. He's getting to work with such big names.
Yeah, it is really cool. He did The Innkeepers after this. You've seen The Innkeepers, obviously?
I've seen
right?
The Innkeepers a couple of times. I like it. It's not as good as House of the Devil is, but I like it.
I'm a big fan of the tension that builds throughout Innkeepers. Really, really good tension for me. Also directed The Sacrament, which is amazing.
I haven't watched that yet. It's about a cult or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's there's no way to spoil this. It's based off the Jim Jones cult.
Oh shit.
So, if you know Jim Jones and know what happened with that, then you know what's going to happen in this, but watch it. It's so good.
He also directed a segment on one of the VHS things, and I think his first major motion picture was Cabin Fever 2, which he has since kind of disavowed and taken his name off of. He's apparently not stoked about that.
Yeah, didn't have the control that probably should have. He also has a movie called The Roost, which my wife and I tried to watch. It's on Showtime.
Mm-hmm. It's his first one, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like it's shot on a Motorola Razr flip phone. And it's slow, and I mean, watch it if you want to, but it's not great.
But maybe I don't instead.
Maybe you don't instead, yeah.
Well, the main topic of the House of the Devil is, long story short, satanic cults.
Yeah, Samantha Hughes, she's a young college student. She is looking to get out of a bad roommate situation, and
college.
She finds a house to rent for $300 a month. If your parents, I'm assuming anyone listening is not much over 45. If your parents are ever wondering why it was that you couldn't just get a summer job and pay for a car and a house and 6 babies, etc., it's because rent was $300 in the 80s, and minimum wage was about the same as it is today. So anyway, so she needs to come up with first month's rent, and she needs $300. She doesn't have a job, and she sees a babysitter wanted advertisement. She calls Satanic Cult.
And on the subject of satanic cults, before we get into this, Steve, I want to spend a second here and take a little quiz with you.
Oh, yeah?
And find out which weird cult we should join. Now, this is a BuzzFeed quiz titled, Which Weird Cult Should You Join? So you can find this on BuzzFeed and take it along with us.
Now, and it's written, it says here, by a man named Dan Meth.
Dan Meth?
Yeah, I don't know if that's a real person.
I doubt it. I tend to think it's not. So we're going to take this quiz and find out a little bit about ourselves and what kind of cult it is that we would join.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I got a pretty good idea.
All right. Well, our first question here is to choose a leader to follow. Now, these are probably people who I should know who they are.
I don't think so. I think they're just names applied to random pictures.
All right. a weird. See, like the first one here is Robert, who looks like a politician of some sort.
He's got I don't know, maybe an Italian prime minister vibe.
Yeah, he's got that kind of thing going. He's got those Scorsese eyebrows.
There's good old Reverend Buh, who looks like if Bill Maher were to get caught saying the N-word again. Huh? Am I right, guys? He does kind of look like that, too.
The third choice, Norman, looks like Steven Wilson of prog band Porcupine Tree, so that's pretty acceptable.
The fourth one is Lucifer, so, you've heard of
that guy. Father Raveg, who just kind of looks like, well, some old guy who ended up at Bonnaroo, I guess.
Yeah, or a transient. And number 6 is Sizzler, which is the restaurant.
The restaurant Sizzler.
Yeah. Ben, who are you going to choose to follow here?
I might follow myself down to a sizzler. I like to get a bite.
I'm going to follow Lucifer, Ben, because of all the people listed, he's the only one I trust.
He'll probably give you great things like the taste of butter and help you live deliciously. Sizzler will help you live somewhat adequately.
Yeah. Sizzler lives somewhat adequately.
Now, our second question here is choose a deity to worship. And our first choice here is the higher one, which looks like a gray, an alien.
Yeah. The next one is greed, which we all understand.
Yeah. Third one is Norman. Again, see Stephen Wilson of Porcupine Tree. There's a lot of people I know that do worship him.
Yeah, that sounds right. The next one is, of course, sustenance, and just some pictures of vegetables. Now, when I think of sustenance, I don't think of shredded carrots, but, whatever.
I don't think there's beer in there.
Nope.
Next option would be Satan, represented by the good old Baphomet imagery. And our last choice here is the Mother Sphere, good old planet Earth. Who are you going to choose here, Steven?
Well, as I picked Lucifer before, I should pick Satan now, but I don't like to be told what to do, so I'm going to go with the higher one.
Yeah, you're going to go with Mr. Alien, huh?
Yeah, old Alien himself.
I'm going to choose the only one that I know that I sprang from, which is the Mother Sphere. Good old planet Earth.
Snap.
That good old flat disc floating along through space.
God. Fuck you, Kyrie Irving. Fuck you, Shaq. Fuck anybody who thinks the Earth's flat.
All right, where are we at next here, Steve?
Choose an afterlife. The first one is Planet Flossie, which looks like a gaseous planet of some sort with neon green clouds.
That's Planet Mormon, isn't it?
Oh, no. You're thinking, of course, of Kolob, which is closest to where God resides.
After this, we have Generic Heaven, which has a cloudy stairway up to the clouds, looking like, Generic Heaven.
Yeah. Then, of course, we have the Dark Paradise, which has a lot of thorns and doesn't seem as much like paradise as one might think.
It looks like a pokey place.
Yeah, it's very pokey.
After this, we have Crystalline Reincarnation, which is an image of a butterfly. I don't exactly know what that means.
I guess you enter into a chrysalis of death and you reemerge as a higher being.
I gotcha.
The next one is, of course, Shrimp Martyrdom. As we've all heard, that you could always become a shrimp and be eaten in mass by a whale or something.
Means.
I don't know.
Now, here's the question: is I love eating shrimp. I could eat shrimp forever.
Yeah.
But could I be a shrimp? Hard pass.
Ben, I don't think you could, because you're swole.
Swole. And our last option here is dead inside a monument to oneself, which sounds very self-referential.
It does. Now, Ben, I'm going to pick Crystalline Reincarnation because I've always wanted to enter into a cocoon and come out with butterfly wings. That's why I got that tramp stamp.
I think that there's clubs out there in Silver Lake where you can do that.
No, yeah. No, well, they're in West Hollywood.
Oh, okay. Which, as we've established, you don't go out to.
Oh, it's too far away.
I'm going to choose Planet Flassie just for the adventure of it. Just to be like, what could be out there? What kind of bold new gases and vegetables and beers might they have out that way?
Yeah, just as I've learned with all BuzzFeed quizzes, there's only one of these questions that really matter. So I hope Planet Flossie will really get us something new.
I hope so. Now, our next question that we have here is choose a symbol, which is, I guess, a holy icon. And the first one here is the all-seeing Iamid, kind of like the all-seeing eye above the pyramid on the currency that we use.
Yeah. Then, of course, we have the Great Tong, which I assume has to do with Pastafarianism. I'm not positive on that.
That makes sense. I hate I have to pronounce this one. The Vlega Yintra, which looks like a yin yang.
Yeah. Then, of course, there's the pentagram, which we'll talk about in the not-too-distant future.
Fucking metal. Then we have Norman, a.k.a. Steven Wilson, from Porcupine Tree.
And then the Quasaron. I don't know what that is.
Eclipse or something.
Yeah, or a quasar. It looks like an quasar eclipse is what it looks like.
Yeah. I'm going to go pentagram because metal.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking metal. You know what? I'm going to go with Norman just for fun.
Give Steven Wilson some love.
Yeah.
He produced Blackwater Park by Opeth, and that is a hell of a fucking album.
Let's choose a dress code, Ben.
All right.
Would you like to dress in a shroud?
I don't think I would. It seems like it would just be very stifling.
Now, generally when I play RPGs, I end up playing Stealth Archer, so Shroud seems great to me, but let's keep reading.
We got a pastel prairie dress, which looks like a still from Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Yeah, that's awesome. Then we have foil Nega-Wave refractor, which is, of course, aluminum foil on your head.
The classic foil hat.
Mm-hmm.
We have the most expensive suit in the world.
Oh, shit, Mormon style.
Yeah.
Then, of course, we have Old Navy, and then it just has a picture of an overweight couple wearing bad clothes. I don't get that.
Which I resent tremendously because I think I'm wearing a pair of Old Navy shorts right now.
Oh, yeah. I got some Old Navy clothes.
I have a lot of Old Navy clothes.
Yeah, for reals.
But I'm not cool. And then our last option is nude.
Oh, man. Okay, well, I do love nude when I'm alone at home. But out in the world, I'm going to have to go with the most expensive suit in the world. I love wearing suits.
You do look dapper in one.
I do.
You know what? Honestly, I'm probably going to go Old Navy because I kind of already do.
Now, final question, Ben. Let's choose a lifestyle. Number 1, orgies. Now, you're a guitarist, so you already lived this lifestyle.
Does this mean playing in the band Orgy and playing Stitches and Blue Monday at every concert?
Yeah. Yep, Blue Monday, every concert. No matter how sad you look when you play it.
Oh, man. Their bass player was always like a little too fat to be goth, and it made me laugh. We've got Study the Teachings of Babylon 5.
Not a bad life. We have, of course, Singing About Norman.
Gosh,
Norman, we've talked about before.
He gets around. We've got Closed Door Conferences. Looks like a bunch of important white men talking about white men stuff.
Yeah, like, how do we keep black people down, and why do women ever get to talk? All you can eat buffets seems to go with Sizzler.
And our last choice here is Making Death Happen. Very metal.
That's metal as fuck. I'm gonna go with Studying the Teachings of Babylon 5, Ben.
Yeah, was that your jam back in the day at Babylon 5?
No, actually, I've only seen a couple of episodes of Episodes of Babylon 5, which is what made me want to study the teachings.
Yeah, you've seen enough to know that you want to know more.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go all you can eat buffet. Now, here's the thing: is what I wonder about is what kind of a buffet it is. Because the thing is if I get there and it's Shoney's, I'll fucking kill myself. I'll off myself early.
But what if? Hold on now. Wait a second. Now, what if Jeff Foxworthy's there?
No. I'll kill him, then kill myself.
You might be a redneck if you don't know what honeydew is on the Shoney's buffet.
I would ram a whole honeydew down his throat and then kill myself if my eternity was a Shoney's buffet. Like, here's a fun fact about Uncle Ben. If you want to see me spiral, and I mean like John Elway, quarterback, toss, throw, spiral, Nerf football, turbo spiral, into an endless depression.
Right.
All you need to do, well, I mean, really, there's 2 steps to this. Take me to Shoney's, and then make them play Beach Boys over the stereo.
Oh my God.
It's done.
Yeah.
It actually flips my self-destruct switch.
But if you want to reverse that, take you to Waffle House and play any of the Waffle House themed songs on the jukebox.
Absolutely, especially the one that Sturgill Simpson wrote.
Yeah, awesome.
Then I'm revived. That's like the source of my powers.
Now, Ben, what did you get?
Let's see. I didn't actually click it yet. All you can eat buffets. Now, I got the Church of Sizzlerology.
Is this real? I want to hear more.
Formed in 1958, the Church of Sizzlerology began with a single church, and by the mid-'80s had nearly 1,000 locations all over North America. Since then, its numbers have reduced and have filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 1997.
Aww.
The religious rituals include the Song of Gluttony, Going for Seconds, and the Purging of the Shrimp. I think these are my people. I might have just found my calling.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Now, I got the Order of Andromedan Residents, which was founded by failed science fiction screenwriter Mitchell Cowan, a.k.a. Buh, in 1973.
Oh, shit. That was that guy that was up there on the list.
Yeah, what is up with failed science fiction writers becoming cult leaders?
Wow.
This cult believes that our souls can be saved from the impending destruction of Earth by the removal of reproductive organs and only eating blue food products.
Oh, God.
Cowan also forces members to watch Babylon 5 episodes for 4 hours a day, believing that it is a holy scripture describing our rescue by extraterrestrial saviors. Huh.
I mean, how accurate do you think that is?
You know what? All of that kind of got me. I would say if there were an Andromedan Resonance recruiter near my house right now knocking on doors, I'd probably invite him in.
Yeah. See what he has to say about it.
Yeah. Let's hear more about these forced Babylon 5 watching sessions.
Yeah, maybe I'll learn a little bit more about that.
And where is David Miscavige's wife?
I do want to know more about what kind of buffet it is that I'm going to. If it is the Sizzler buffet, my life will be a little bit on the sad side. I could definitely live on an Indian buffet.
Oh, yeah.
That's the best. A pizza buffet also gets real good to me.
What about a high-class Vegas buffet with like lobster and steak and bone marrow and sea urchin and all of the things you can imagine?
I could probably find my way around that just fine. I could probably subside on that just fine.
What if champagne was included?
I'm going to tell you what, man. Champagne is fucking great.
I agree with that.
Yeah. I'm having a harder and harder time finding anything that it doesn't go well with. I had half a bottle with breakfast the other day. It was great.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to go about your day, honestly. Half a bottle of champagne for breakfast, fifth of bourbon for lunch, top it off with about 6 martinis, and neglect your children.
Oh, you're talking about the Mad Men diet.
Yeah. It's pretty great, right? Not a lot of responsibility, and for some reason you get paid a whole lot of money.
And you're extremely handsome.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
Well, today we're going to be spending a good part of our episode here talking about The House of the Devil, or as it's known by its alternate title, The Babysitter's Diary, Volume 666.
Yeah, I loved that one. Oh, my God.
This movie, I mean, really, honestly, kind of like what you were saying earlier, you could sum it up in really 1 or 2 sentences. A college girl is desperate to get a place outside of her dorm. She takes a babysitting job. It turns out to be a little shady, and she winds up being a part of a satanic cult ritual. Yeah. That's basically all there is to it. It is an extremely simple plot, and it revealed itself to me in terms of its simplicity by the fact that this is the fewest pages of notes I've ever taken on any of the movies that we've ever done. I have 1 page of notes front and back.
Yeah, I actually took very few notes myself, but I do have a lot of notes on the Satanic Panic that is mentioned in the opening title card.
That's something I want to know more about. Yeah, during the intro there's a title card that says during the 1980s, something like 70 or 80% of Americans believed that satanic cults were alive and real and sacrificing people, and it was covered up and yada yada.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. If you look up Satanic Panic, one of the first results you'll get on Google is the Wikipedia page. But what the Wikipedia page is satanic ritual abuse.
Oh, shit.
This is something I find troubling because the page itself is titled Satanic Ritual Abuse. The first 4 paragraphs of the introduction talk about what satanic ritual abuse is. It is not until the end of the 4th paragraph that they mention that it's not a real thing and it never happened.
Huh?
Yeah. So...
there's never been any documented cases of this?
There have never been any documented cases of what would be considered satanic ritual abuse. There have been documented cases of people killing in the name of Satan. Those people are generally insane. Richard Ramirez, Ricky Cass, shout out to our friends at Say You Love Satan. Hey, Ricky Cass. There are people who've claimed to kill in the name of Satan, but there's never been any proof of any large-scale satanic organizations molesting children, killing virgins, etc. However,
Steve, hang on.
Uh-huh.
Pizzagate, but her email, Steve.
Yes. This is exactly why this movie is so fucking important and why what I'm saying right now is important. This is fucking Pizzagate. This is the bullshit we get caught up in, people. This shit was the late 80s and early 90s when it really was going. For 7 years, a small babysitting area, what are they called? What is that called? Daycare. A small daycare was caught up for 7 years in the most expensive trial in American history. It led to 0 convictions, but included allegations such as the children saw Chuck Norris was one of their child molesters. They were flushed down a toilet to a secret room. Things like they saw animal sacrifices, including the sacrifice of a giraffe and an elephant.
Whoa, getting exotic.
And fucking adults heard these things and pursued them for 7 years.
They're like, that sounds plausible.
Yeah, not only were there the daycare centers and various church groups that were accused of large-scale satanic ritual abuse, but there were the one I was just talking about, there were no convictions, but there were actual convictions in these cases, never relating to satanic ritual abuse, always relating to some crime they found just on the periphery of investigating the people involved with these church groups and daycares. But there were also the West Memphis Three, who in 1993, 3 young boys who liked metal music and D&D were convicted of killing 3 children. That there was no evidence that they did anything. The only evidence was that they listened to metal music and played D&D.
Only bias.
14 years they spent in prison based off of this bullshit that for some reason on Wikipedia is listed as satanic ritual abuse, and the fact that it's fake is not talked about for 4 paragraphs.
That is crazy.
Yeah, we live in this insane world where information can be so twisted that someone shows up at a pizza place in DC with a gun thinking that there are children being molested in a basement that doesn't even exist.
Jeez, man. And that's the thing about this movie is it says that it is based. It says it's based on true events, but it's really not based on any particular true events.
Yeah, nothing like this has ever occurred. But that's like just like with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like you set up the idea that this is based on true events, and it semi is, just like with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, semi based on Ed Gein, but you can distort it. Like that's the fun of horror, but it's actually become true of facts now.
Yes.
People are now willing to just say, well, facts are bendable. We can do what we want with them.
And the biggest thing about this movie is that it is 100% in terms of feel and look and sound and aesthetic and even physical media.
Yeah.
Like, somebody was searching around the vaults of MGM or Time Warner or whatever, and they dusted off some movie from 1981 or 1983, and they're like, The House of the Devil? What is this? We never even published this. And then they just went out and published it. This movie, in every possible way, feels like it came out in 1983. It is... It was shot on 16mm film, which was kind of the standard for low-budget movies back then. The slow burn feel, the fact that it is, I'm not going to say entirely, but mostly pretty unknown actors, with the exception of Dee Wallace and Tom Noonan.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's pretty much mostly unknown actors and actresses throughout this movie. The pace of the movie, the feel of it, the title cards, the soundtrack, everything, just, you would never think that this was made in 2009.
Yeah, it looks so 80s. And some of the actors, obviously, Greta Gerwig and Lena Dunham have moved on and done more things. But at the time, this is, just... It's filled with old horror actors. It's filled with people who have been in these old horror movies. And Tom Noonan, who is just one of the most intimidating presences in anything he's in, because he has that eerily calm voice, but he's also, and that very sympathetic face.
Yeah, he's got that gentle giant thing.
Yeah, he's 6'5" and intimidating.
Man.
Yeah. So, and Tom Noonan actually does the intro to The Roost, that movie I talked about earlier. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. If you want to see some Tom Noonan, it's certainly worth that. But, this movie is very much an 80s movie, and it looks back to movies like Rosemary's Baby and The Omen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely so, man. And that's something about this flick that drew me in right away. As soon as I started watching this, I was like, oh man, I get this movie. This movie gets me. It understands. Yeah. It's totally made for people that like the kind of movies that I like. I like those old school, slow burning. It's all about suspense. It's all about fear and intimidation and just waiting for the other shoe to drop,
Yeah, I kept track, and up in this movie is about an hour and a half with about 7 minutes of credits. But up until an hour into the movie, there's only been like creepy things that have occurred.
Yeah.
At about an hour into the movie, we finally see what's going on in the house. I mean, her friend had been killed, but we don't associate that with the house necessarily.
Right. And in terms of the 80s tone and stuff, I feel like this movie really, it is not a pastiche of 80s movies. Like,
no.
If somebody now made a new horror movie that was set in the 80s and was supposed to feel like an 80s movie, you would expect it to look like, fucking Saved by the Bell or something. Everybody's wearing neon colors and has crazy teased hair and all that kind of jazz. It's not like that at all. It's almost more like, to put it into context of something that everybody has seen, it's a lot more like Stranger Things, where when you watch Stranger Things, that series, of course, was set in the 80s, but everything wasn't neon. You had a lot of leftover
Yeah.
House furnishing and some cars and clothes and stuff left over from the late 70s. So everything wasn't. It didn't look like a damn Whitesnake video, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There
is this. There's this really weird occurrence in the 80s. My wife and I watch a lot of old 80s game shows, and there's this weird occurrence where it's like the 80s were like the 70s and then the 90s. Like there was no real 80s period. Like people were still dressing kind of like the 70s, and then suddenly it was like lycra and neon and IOU shirts and like big like gelled hair and shit. Like everything just sort of like switched overnight.
Yeah, kind of left over there.
And this is part of that early 80s feel where there's still feathered hair. Right. Everything's still a little 70s, but we're into the era of answering machines,
Walkmans.
Yeah, Walkmans and stuff like that. Yeah, and I love the fact that those things get their own focus. Like answering machines play into this movie throughout, as does the Walkman.
Payphones and everything.
Yeah, payphones, things like that. So the 80s feel to this movie isn't like a nostalgic. Like it's nostalgic, but it's not like a blind nostalgia where you're just throwing all of the 80s into one movie. They're looking at a very specific time, which is this nice early 80s. I think it's supposed to be set in Michigan. Is that right?
I thought Connecticut or something is
Connecticut?
What I read somewhere in there.
So
yeah,
it's
1983.
Yeah, we're not talking about New York City or LA in the 80s, so the fashion's always going to be a little behind, the hairstyles are always going to be a little behind, etc.
Right.
Yeah. So our main character is Samantha Hughes, played by Jocelyn Donahue, who's fucking awesome. She is so good.
She's fucking awesome. And I said it on my Instagram page, and I'll say it again. She should have played in the new fucking Suspiria remake. I don't know why she was not cast for that part immediately.
Yeah, she would be
have
perfect.
been in fucking Suspiria.
Yeah, absolutely. We have her, and we also have Greta Gerwig, who plays her friend Megan. And their scenes. Megan is interesting because we learn so much about Megan, and we don't learn a ton about Samantha.
Yeah, it's true. She's a lot more reserved kind of character and stuff, and Megan's a lot more big and loud.
Megan is big. She's loud. She's a consumer. If you pay attention to that pizza scene, every time it cuts to her, she is like chomping on pizza or slurping on Coke. She is a consumer. She is taking stuff in. She's big. She's loud. Like she doesn't care. To like get out there in the world. We also learned that she's rich, her family's rich, etc.
Right, which is something I don't think I noticed until I watched it this time. Is that I think I'd missed those lines where she was like, "Oh, if you can't make the money, don't worry about it. My parents got your back." And she drives. I think that's something that threw me off. Is she's driving a Volvo, which at the time would have been a new car. It's like I look at it and I'm like, "That's an old model Volvo." And it's like, no, not in fucking 1983. It's not. It's a brand new car.
From the 80s or something.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's like me or something.
Are you a Volvo? Is that your make?
I haven't checked under the hood. Maybe I ought to pop that thing and see.
Yeah. see what's going on under there.
See if I'm the safest human on the road. And really, I mean, other than those two, other than Samantha and Megan, right?
Yeah.
We pretty much just have the people from the house, which is the Ullman family. It's a really small cast movie. I really, I find over and over that a lot of my favorite movies, and especially a lot of my favorite horror movies, are ones with very small casts. Like, you know, flicks that have like 4 or 5 people. Like The Shining has like, for all intents and purposes, basically has like 5 people in it, you know?
Yeah, the thing is that if there are enough people, you feel safe. Like, you feel the thing.
There's always a backup plan.
Yeah, the thing in this is that I guess there are our 2 people, the 2 people we know, And then there are the other people we get introduced to who we're wary of immediately. Like, there's already some weirdness because she called about the babysitting job, and then she was supposed to meet him somewhere. He didn't show up, and he calls her later and leaves a message. She calls back, and there's just this sort of like confusion about like, you know, what's going on with them. And then when she gets there, he never really he describes, first off, that he was lying to her. He tells her that she's not going to be babysitting so much as taking care of his mother. Right. But she's apparently easy to take care of. And then also we discover, like, we don't know what's going on with them. Like, they keep talking cryptically. Vincent is Tom Noonan, and Vivian is his wife. And they talk very cryptically. The things they say always seem to have more meaning to them, that like you're not really sure what they're saying. But also, they're offering her $400 to stay for one night with his mom, who is apparently easy to take care of. So it's like, okay, I can see why you would do that, even if they are creepy.
Yeah, and you get the impression, too, that she is really, really desperate for this money. And again, doing this podcast is so fun because I watch movies with a critical eye that I don't watch them with when I'm just sitting down and watching them. You know what I mean? Because I'm watching these movies like everything is explaining something, so I need to pay close attention. She is so fed up with her roommate situation. Her roommate is always just like banging guys in their dorm all the time. She's always locked out of the dorm. It's also revealed in her conversation with Mrs. Ullman that this is her sophomore year. So she has dealt with her shitty roommate for like a whole year.
Yeah.
And she is just fed up with it. You know, she's fed up to the point to where she'll go into the bathroom at the college and just turn on the faucets and just sit in there in the stall and cry.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting, too, that whenever this movie starts, the movie starts and it is her in the house that she is wanting to rent, right?
Yeah. Yeah, she's talking to the landlady, yeah.
Yeah, Dee Wallace from Cujo and many other movies. So the movie starts off with our main character basically in her destination. It's showing you what all of this is for. And it's just basically a house. It's just an apartment. And actually, you know what? It is a little confusing. Is she renting an apartment? Because when she comes out, it's like a full house. Is she renting a room in a house? Is she renting an apartment? I can't figure it out, because when she's on the phone with Megan later, she's like, oh, it's got a dining room and this hallway and yada yada, as if she's renting the whole house. I don't know.
Maybe it has a second floor that is a second apartment.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I just like that
the
movie. I like that the movie starts off with the goal. It's like it is showing you this is what this entire movie is for. This is why she's doing the things that she's doing this whole time, is so that she can be here.
Yeah, and if that's the case, it's a really strong critique of capitalism.
Yeah,
you put yourself in this level of danger for what? To rent a house.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
You don't even get to own it.
I like, too, how they develop the character of Samantha as being a germaphobe, which is something that, again, I didn't really notice super hardcore until this. They really developed that very well, even to the point of where, like, did you notice whenever she's dialing the number for the babysitting job on the payphone, she dials it with her knuckles. She doesn't use her fingertips.
Really? I did not notice that.
Isn't it?
Huh. Yeah.
It's a little stuff like that.
Because payphones are disgusting.
Yes. Oh, my God. Also, too, shout out to payphones. You've got a great payphone series on your Instagram page.
Yeah.
That cracks me up, man.
Every time I see a payphone in LA, and by the way, anybody who doesn't live in LA would be like, so that's like every once in a while, maybe? No, there are payphones every block, and almost all of them are smashed to hell.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
But there are a few that are like pristine, that have like the phone book attached and stuff. It's pretty crazy. It's like going back in time coming to LA.
I enjoy your relic photos of those. I think that's a really cool idea. So she's a total germaphobe, and it's even manifested too. And I've seen a lot of reviews of this movie that critique stuff like this. But you know the scene where her and Megan are in the pizza place, and they're sitting down there having a piece of pizza, and Samantha's talking about how bad she wants this apartment and all this stuff. Well, Samantha hadn't even touched her pizza yet. Megan takes a bite of hers, and she's like, "This pizza tastes nasty today."
Yeah.
After Megan says that, Samantha doesn't even touch her pizza.
Yeah.
And it's because, being a germaphobe, you know, having her friend kind of like stick her toe in the water and say, "Oh, this tastes weird." As a germaphobe, she wouldn't eat it after that.
Huh.
I've seen a bunch of people be like, "Oh, if she, you know, if she's so broke, how come she's buying pizza and not paying for it?" It's because she's a fucking germaphobe. Yeah. Which also makes it, I think, all the more fucked up, you know, what happens to her later in the movie in terms of her body being invaded. It makes it even more just excruciating.
It also makes sense when she tastes the pizza later, which is drugged. She tastes the pizza, and I guess it tastes a little off, so she's like, she just gives up on it immediately. She's like, "Oh, okay, well, yeah, it is just bad today." Yeah. But that pizza is drugged because she eats a little bit of it and then not too long after that faints.
Yeah. She even puts toilet paper down on the old commode seat.
That's true. She don't like no germs none.
No, she ain't about it, man.
There's a lot going on here with like some horror tropes of like the babysitter and being in this large house. It's there's so much wood, so it's creaky, and it's not empty.
Isolated. It's out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's not empty, but it feels empty. Like, even though there's stuff in there, like there's just this feeling that comes from each shot that there's not a lot going on in here, and that is scary. Like, being in a large house by yourself is scary. It's already creaky. There's somebody upstairs you don't even know about. Like, you haven't even, I mean, you know about them, but you haven't seen them. You don't know like what's going on with them. She's out in the middle of nowhere. There's this automatic sort of terror to it.
Yeah, I dig it, man. And that's, again, one of my favorite things in a horror movie is a sense of claustrophobia, a sense of being separated from the rest of humanity. Like, I think that movies like The Shining and The Thing and even The Apartment and Rosemary's Baby, it just feels so stifling and claustrophobic.
Yeah.
I love that effect in a horror movie. I love the effect of feeling like help is nowhere in sight. If you need it, nobody's even remotely going to come and save you, you know?
Yeah. And it calls to question the safety of a house. Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely so. You know, even the one person that could possibly save her during this babysitting adventure, her friend Megan that drops her off at the place, you know, even that is eliminated instantly. Yeah. Because Megan goes out. I love it, man. Now, again, this is one of those things that, like, a lot of times before we do these podcasts, I go and I read a bunch of reviews on IMDb and stuff like that. I watch YouTube videos of people reviewing it. And a bunch of people are just like, "Man, that's so fucking stupid." Megan goes and she pulls her car off on the side of the road at that graveyard to light a cigarette, and they don't fucking understand that. And Megan was just being a good friend. Like, you saw that graveyard on the way to the house.
Megan's a great friend. Yeah.
Yeah, she is. You saw the graveyard on the way to the house. You know that it's just outside of the property of the house that the babysitting is going on at. And she pulls over there, I think, and she's just going to, like, basically wait until 12:30. I think she said it's going to be like 4 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
Because she wants to be able to be right there to come pick her up and be there close just in case something was to happen. And just basically just pull her car over in this graveyard and wait until 12:30 to when she could just go right there and get her if she needed to. And that's when we get, what's the son's name? Vincent? Victor?
Victor.
They all have V names, which is confusing.
Yes, it is. I don't know what that would indicate.
Yeah, she's sitting there in her car, and she rolls the window down to light up a cigarette, and she can't get a lighter spark, and this hand just juts in the window and scares the fucking shit out of her.
Creeping, and, like, what the fuck are you doing, by the way, sticking your hand in somebody's window?
Man, and they have, like, a brief little conversation, and they reach some point where he's like, "Oh, you're not the babysitter?" And she's like, yeah, no, I'm not the babysitter. That's my friend. And then as soon as she gets that word out, he just blows her fucking head off.
Yeah, great effect, by the way.
Dude, it is one of the biggest, like, just pull the rug out from under you moments I think I've had in any horror movie in recent memory, really. Just her getting just nuked right there on the spot, just so suddenly from this guy that you don't even know. And I love, too, that after he blows her head off and her brain just splatters all over the windshield, the car starts to roll because she had her foot on the brake and then her body just let go.
And he has to run and catch it. And he also takes the cigarette that she just lit out of her hand and starts smoking it. So,
he does it so cold. I get the impression that ain't the first time he's killed somebody.
Yeah, and we also get the impression here, if it's the first time you're watching, like, oh, this is what's happening then. This guy is a killer, and he's going to try to kill her in that house. And there's so many, because then after that, she's basically just walking through the house, and we get so many shots of her through the windows. Like,
I love it. Yeah, peeping Tom shots, like you're looking, watching her.
And there's also... she orders a pizza, as Tom Noonan kept saying, pizza on the refrigerator. He keeps mentioning it.
Yeah, he's like, I'll lift you extra money. I know you college kids love pizza. Did I mention pizza? Be sure to order pizza from this number.
Yeah. She orders the pizza, and then we almost get like a real-time waiting, because she orders the pizza pretty early, and then it's not until about an hour and 5 in that we get the pizza. So there's like this almost like 30-minute waiting time where she's just exploring the house. There are noises upstairs, etc.
Let me tell you about that waiting time there, Steve. There is a period in this movie where, I'll tell you what, man, that intro to Wall-E can suck a dick, because there are about 20... Man, I think it's like 28 minutes in this movie with no dialogue.
Wow.
No dialogue. Where it's just her in the house, and there is no spoken dialogue for like half an hour in the middle of this fucking movie.
She plays it so well. I mean, it's all on her shoulders. She does the thing. She goes in the office and puts on the Coke bottle glasses, which is like a cute maneuver. She's dancing to the Fix.
I love that. Also, I love that song.
Yeah, that's a great song. And also, like, just the dancing scene. She accidentally breaks a vase. And then, like, all that happens, and then she gets upstairs, she breaks the vase, she opens a closet and sees that there are furs in there. Now, earlier, Miss Ullman said, Vivian, she said that she was downstairs in the basement getting the furs. So she immediately sees these furs and she's like, wait, she said she had to go downstairs to get the furs. And then below the furs, she finds these family pictures.
In a garbage bag.
And they're pictures of not the family she saw in front of the house and the car she saw when they pulled up.
And I saw a bunch of reviews of people that were just like royally confused about this. They were like, I didn't understand the photos. That didn't look anything like the Ullmans. And it's like, you fucking stupid
That's
people.
The point,
it's not the Ullmans.
They're not the Ullmans.
It's like the Ullmans killed the people that were living in that house.
Well, yeah, and if there's any doubt to that, she goes up to a door, and we get to see what's on the other side of the door, which is the people that lived in the house, if they were the Ullmans, slaughtered. The mother and father are just slaughtered off to the side, and the son is slaughtered and laid out inside of a pentagram.
I love that shot, dude. That's the point where, like... Well, I mean, I knew this movie had its claws out whenever Megan got her head blown off.
Yeah.
But whenever it got to that part, and that's not too long after she gets to the house. Chronologically, that's actually somewhat early in the movie. Yeah, she's wandering around upstairs, and she almost goes to open that door, but then she doesn't. And the camera, it's kind of cool. The camera shows us what she's not seeing.
Yeah.
Which is, like you said, panning past the door frame, and we see... the victims of this evil ritual and stuff that are just dead inside of there. That's when, like, this movie really captured my mind and my imagination, because I was like, oh my God, this movie really is going straight to satanic ritual. So many movies, man, they dance around it and they'll play it off as something else. It's like, oh, they're a member of some demon cult. You know what I mean? Like they worship this ancient Babylonian god or whatever. No, this movie is just like straight up Satan, pentagrams, goat's heads. Like, it's a satanic cult. So many movies don't go that on the nose with the subject matter, and I was like, fuck yes, this movie is metal. And I've seen some critiques that reveal was placed too early in the movie, that it shows these people that have been murdered in the house as part of a satanic ritual as being too early in the movie. I completely disagree with that. I love it because it instills in you, the viewer, the sense of danger and the sense of pure evil that Samantha is in the presence of, and she doesn't fucking know it, but you know it.
Yeah.
And it builds such a level of suspense, because the whole movie you're like, God damn, girl, you are in danger. Like, there are corpses. There's a child's corpse and a pentagram in this house right now, and you don't know it, but you, the viewer, do know it. I mean, my God, dude, how often do you see a dead child in a fucking pentagram in a movie? This movie goes there.
Not as often as you'd like, I think. She ventures up toward the attic, which she hears some noise, sort of, but as she's walking up toward the attic, the doorbell rings.
Yeah.
It is the pizza guy, but it's not the pizza guy. It's the guy who shot her friend in the face.
Right. The son of the family.
He gives her the pizza, and she's at this point, she's already freaked out. She has a knife. She sort of she grabs the pizza, throws the money at him, and just sort of like curls up in a ball for a bit.
Which I gotta tell you, she should be tried for crimes against pizza for holding that pizza box up.
That is true. What are you doing?
Why would you do that to a perfectly good pizza?
Though when she does open the pizza, it is like a bright orangish. So I'm not sure that's a good pizza.
It doesn't look like a fresh pizza. No.
So she does have a slice or a part of the pizza, and then she hears.
You know what we forgot to mention this whole time too is the entire time, everywhere she goes, whether it's the pizza place with Megan at the first of the movie, or every time she turns on the news, and even while she's eating the pizza, she turns on the news, and there is all this talk about this major eclipse that's going on that night. That's a really critical part of this movie, is that's why the Ullmans needed a babysitter, is it was really important that they were out to see the eclipse that night. Mm-hmm. There's a huge amount of significance placed on that throughout the whole movie.
We get some good shots of like a deep red moon, which is like, leading up to the eclipse, and then we get to see the moon sort of get eclipsed. And so this is perfect time for a satanic ritual, because the lights of God's rays from the sun are not shining on the planet, blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's just playing out throughout. We see, like, newscasters talking about it, etc.
Earlier, Mr. Ullman says that house is in the perfect geographic location to witness the eclipse, too.
Yeah.
Which clues you in as to why they killed the family.
Yeah.
Now, and again, this is another critique of the movie that I saw a bunch of that I think people just missed the point. But I saw all these people that were like, now, why was that kid laid out in a pentagram? As far as like their ultimate plan, did it not work when they killed that kid or whatever? I just think that they had to kill that family to take control of that house, because that house is in such a perfect geographic location.
Right.
And they killed that family as a sacrifice to Satan.
I mean, it's almost like it's like when people are like, we should let Nazis speak. Like, when you're talking about Satanists, they don't need like in the horror film realm, they don't need a reason to kill necessarily. No. Like, if we're talking about a horror film, they don't need a reason to kill, and we're talking about reality, there's no reason to listen to Nazis. So,
Nothing good will come of this.
Yeah, nothing good will come of it. So she eats a piece of pizza, but she hears the sound upstairs. She goes to check on it again. Like, she goes into a bathroom, and there's like a bunch of black hair in it.
Now that I don't understand. Do you have an explanation for that?
I think so. Vivian later, when she takes off her wig, and her hair is all like falling out and stuff. So like maybe that's
gray.
what happened.
It's not even black.
Yeah, I'm not positive on that. I'm not really sure what that might mean.
I think it means that Mr. Ullman, in preparation for the ritual, shaved his pubes.
Yeah, he shaved his pubes. He's 6'5". He's probably got some pubes.
He's got to be slick for the Dark Lord. I think that's what that means.
I think. Listen, I believe I've read that the Dark Lord hates pubes. So.
Yeah. He can't have none of that. He wants them hardwood floors. And it's about then that she realizes that the pizza. Well, I guess we, the viewer, get the idea that the pizza was drugged. It had some sort of intoxicating knockout substance in there. Mm-hmm. And she even like stops eating it and like then goes and washes her mouth out and all this kind of stuff.
Do you think this is where Pizzagate comes from?
I think so. I think this was just really like a mess. Kind of like how The Matrix was a message that all reality is a computer program.
Yeah. This is a message that Hillary Clinton is selling child slaves in the basement of a pizza place in Washington, D.C.
I mean, it's right there, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Lock her up.
MAGA. And so, yeah, she starts kind of like experiencing some weird kind of hallucinations and dazing off and stuff like this. And she tries going upstairs, right? Because she hears the noises and so on. And she tries to pull that chain on that light.
And it shorts everything. Yeah, it shorts the power, yeah.
And she falls down to the bottom of the stairs and she passes out. And then all fucking hell breaks loose. You gotta remember, this is probably at this point an hour and 10 or an hour and 15 into a movie that has been...
There are only like 15 minutes left. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the whole movie has been really quiet. It has been nearly devoid of soundtrack other than her dancing around to The Fix and listening to Greg Kihn in the car earlier. It's been a very quiet, a very still, very suspenseful movie where, again, you know that she's in danger. She does not know she's in danger, really. She has suspicions towards the end there, but she doesn't know the extent of how fucked up the situation she's in is. And then, I mean, shit just comes unglued. And I love the fashion in which it does it because actually, I mean, really, some of these scenes where it's introducing us to the satanic ritual scene there at the very end of the movie, they aren't necessarily super 80s, are they? So it kind of like blows your mind even more when it hits because everything so far has been so distinctively late 70s, early 80s in terms of the film style, cinematography, and so on. But then whenever this shit happens, after she passes out, after she sees, shadows under that doorway in the attic and shit, there's like a heartbeat sound and you see the blood red eclipse moon.
Yeah.
Pulsing
really
and
cool
beat with
shot.
the heartbeat. Oh, it's so cool. And then she wakes up screaming bloody murder in a white robe in the middle of a pentagram, surrounded by the hooded figures of Mr. and Mrs. Ullman and their son. And then out comes Mother, who we've not seen the whole movie yet, but looks like you took like a shrunken apple core and carved a face into it.
Yeah, she looks like one of the creatures from Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah,
she's got like almost an Eric Stoltz mask look. Yeah. And there's this ritual that occurs basically involving blood and then
and a goat's head
and a goat skull and this really cool mouthful of blood pouring from a goat skull scene. Which is even worse, knowing that she's a germaphobe. Having this, because it's the blood of the mother. Like she cuts her wrist and puts her own blood in this goat skull, and feeds it to Samantha. So gross.
And it's like, dude, knowing that she's a germaphobe, you sympathize with her so hard, and you're like, this is fucking disgusting.
That would taste.
Get away from this.
That would taste like 14 cents worth of pennies. I bet. Just so coppery. So, but while this is happening, she's also like loosening herself from the restraints, and she escapes.
And I know that that's kind of one of those, kind of tropes that she breaks free of the bonds. And it kind of is. I mean, really, apparently Satanists are not good knot tires. None of them went to Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts. None of them were sailors.
No, yeah. Have you ever heard of the Church of Satan's Boy Scout Brigade? No.
No, I haven't.
Mormons are your Boy Scout people.
Yeah. So Satanists don't know shit about tying a good knot because she just loosens straight out of them. But honestly, and there's a lot of these things that I will account to the fact that I think that they anticipated her to eat more than one bite of this tainted pizza.
Yeah, they expected her to be more drugged.
Yeah, I don't think that she was supposed to be really conscious for any of this. I think the fact that she was even awake was a surprise to them. And this whole scene, too, and again, dude, sometimes I get mad at people's critiques of movies if they're just totally off base, because I see people's critiques of what she does as far as her, running by the gun, running to the attic or whatever, running to the basement while she's trying to escape from them and being like, oh, that's stupid. Nobody ever do that. It's like, dude, she is tripping balls this whole time.
Yeah, she's drugged.
She's drugged, and she's also being, she's had fucking demons put inside of her and stuff. It's like, you have no idea what's going on inside of her head, but it is not her normal state of consciousness.
Yeah, the opening of that scene, and that scene entirely reminds me of the scene with Marilyn Burns in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where she wakes up tied to a chair in the dining room. Like, the way that the sound works and the music just blares, and it's just this
dude,
rude
the soundtrack
awakening.
Comes in.
Yeah,
that's a good way to put it. The soundtrack comes in so hot when she wakes up and she's in that pentagram. And I think another thing about that scene too, especially when you see the mother, come out to start the ritual and stuff, is that there has been nothing in this movie so far that is supernatural or out of the ordinary or is occultish or anything. I mean, you saw one person get killed so far and they were blown away by a gun.
Well, we saw the kid in the pentagram,
Right, but it's not like they were killed by Avada Kedavra or something like this. It's like everything seems, I mean, maybe they were.
She does kind of look like Voldemort.
Yeah.
Holy
really
shit. What if this is the beginning of Voldemort's return?
But it's like nothing really that weird has happened in the movie so far, and then you see this supernatural crone that looks freaky as fuck comes out, and it's awesome too because her makeup and stuff is all practical. It's not a CGI fucking mask.
No, it's so good.
It looks fantastic. Yeah, it looks like a really believable, disgusting old crone. And she comes out, dude, and she's pouring the blood, and she like paints the pentagram on her belly. And feeds her the blood and all this stuff. It's like, it really does blow your hair back because everything has been so normal in the movie so far. And then it's like, this comes out and, well, you know how at the first of the movie there was that message that said, 80% of people believed the Satanic Panic was real and all this stuff. And then this scene comes on and shows you, no, dude, it's fucking real. It's real.
Yeah, I mean, that's the interesting thing. If you look back to any witch trials or any any trials where the Catholic Church was involved back in the day, the accusations that would come up that were unfounded accusations are accusations of the most vile things humanity can imagine.
Right.
And that's exactly what this stems from, is the Satanic Panic, where all the vilest things people could imagine were being believed to have happened. And so, like, as vile as you could try to get, with a horror movie, you could never get as vile as the accusations that came out during that time. That children were being subjected to child sex abuse, or even being involved in snuff films, that babies were, being fucked and killed in movies. Like, the ideas that were coming out of that time are even worse than what happens in this movie. And to just show in this movie just the simplest ideas of a satanic ritual that would bring Satan back through impregnating a young woman is so insane, is so like out there, that just seeing this, I think would help anybody who believes, say, in Pizzagate, be like, okay, now that's a bit ridiculous. Like, that's too out there. Like, that can't, like, I can't hold a thought in my head that that's real.
Yeah. So during the ritual, she breaks free of her restraints and stuff there, and kind of goes on just an all-out murder spree. She immediately stabs Mr. Ullman with that Athame, with that ceremonial knife, and she slaps the old crone away. And it never explicitly shows that she kills her.
No, it doesn't. She gets shot in the shoulder in this, and that is so interesting to me, because that is not like a normal affliction for a final girl in an 80s movie. To get shot?
Yeah, that's extremely hardcore. Yeah, usually you get the typical, I tripped and, twisted my ankle or whatever. But you know what? And again, dude, this is another stupid critique of this movie that I see, is people like, the son had her at point blank range.
He wasn't trying to kill her.
No, of course, because if he killed her...
She has the demon baby in her.
Yes, duh. It's like, I really feel like a lot of the criticisms of this movie are just completely stupid, man. So he was going for a non-lethal shot. He was just trying to disable her and stop her from moving around. So of course he wasn't going to blow her head off. Jeez. Yeah. And then she turns it on him. She damn thumbs his eye out and fucking stabs him, cuts his throat and all this stuff too.
She cuts his throat, which is bad ass. Because this is right after he shoots her in the shoulder, and then he comes over, I guess, to like have the gun on her, I guess, to take the knife away from her or whatever, and she just slices his throat. And you have to understand, he can't kill her, so it's not like he can, in revenge, shoot her for slicing his throat.
No, and the thing is, too, is like, I am fully behind the notion that as she has just been touched by this supernatural satanic power, I have no idea what kind of powers are flowing through her body at this point. Because as we see, she lifts up the robe, the white robe she's wearing, and she has all these crazy veins and stuff running through her belly. This pregnancy is accelerating at an extremely, extremely rapid rate. And again, she's tripping balls, and she's seeing all these visions of this is a cool thing too. I don't know if you noticed this, but not only is she seeing all these snap, one frame visions of the old crone, there's also some other demon she's seeing. Did you notice that?
Yes, I did. Like, there's a bunch of those just flashes.
It looks like damn it's actually very reminiscent of The Exorcist, with those flashes of Pazuzu and stuff. Uh-huh. It's very reminiscent.
Do you think it's possible that the House of the Devil is it possible that this is just an origin story for Nightcrawler? That in fact...
Oh, shit!
that is Raven Darkholm there, and she has been impregnated by Azazel. And
oh my god! I totally back it.
So in the end, Samantha's just Mystique. She was trying to escape and just be like, I'm going to go to the middle of nowhere. I'm going to go to college, etc.
Dude, I totally back it 100%. Yes, that is what this movie's about. All right. Crack the code. You crack the code.
There it is.
But it's like, I see people being like, how did she suddenly get so strong to kill all these people, yada yada. And it's like, dude, she has the son of Satan coursing through her body. Kind of all bets are off, aren't they?
Yeah, also, there's no threat. The moment that she's impregnated, there's no threat. None of those people care for their own lives.
Yeah, mission's accomplished at that point.
Mission accomplished, yeah. Like, what we do get is that Vivian is mad that she killed her son.
Yeah.
And she takes her, she sort of has her in a situation where she could kill her, but she's not going to. She goes over to the window, she takes off her wig, and she says, "Talk to me, Lord," to the moon. So, like, and then she gets stabbed in the back. She doesn't try to defend herself. The son doesn't try to get revenge for his throat being slashed. And we see that Tom Noonan, Mr. Ullman, in the graveyard, he offers himself up to shoot. Yeah, he just, go ahead and kill me. I don't care.
He does the Arnold Schwarzenegger Predator. Kill me! Kill me!
Yeah. Yes. So if your critique has anything to do with the fact that the people don't want to kill her after they've impregnated her with the devil's baby, you might be a redneck. Is that it? No? Is that how those work? I don't understand.
That's exactly how it works. If you think there's a reason why they should have been killing her after they impregnated her with the son of Satan, here's your sign. Just put all the redneck comics on this.
Hey, by the way, if we're talking about redneck comics, check out Trey Crowder. Good guy. Yeah.
The liberal redneck.
Liberal redneck. He's badass. Check him out.
Gigantic fan of that fella right there. Gigantic fan. So, yeah, basically this chase goes on. She kills the son. She kills the wife. She doesn't kill the crone. We don't know about her.
Yeah.
And Tom Noonan, Mr. Ullman, chases her out to the graveyard, which again shows you that graveyard is right there on the premises.
Yeah, and he's bleeding to death. He's not chasing her to kill her. We see he pulls the knife out and just blood starts gushing out. So he's bleeding to death. He's not chasing her to kill her. He's chasing her to be like, here's what's up. Like, this is the situation now.
And he's like, it's already done. You know, you've been chosen. Just let this happen. Yada, yada. And, offers to let her, kill him because she's got the gun that she picked up off the son and stuff. And then she, just in a complete twist, turns the gun on herself, holds a pistol up to his head, and Ullman's like, no. And then she shoots herself in the fucking head.
Badass. She is badass. Like, she is so badass from the beginning. Like, there's never a point where she is making bad choices. Like,
she's got an interesting balance because, like, whenever you see her early in the movie with her I guess you could say her weakness in terms of, like, she seems homesick, she seems upset about living in these dorms, she seems like she's unhappy with life, which could take as weakness. But then at the same time, it's like when she shows up to the house and Ullman's like, yeah, you're not babysitting, you're taking care of my mom, I'll give you double. And then
she's like, double my ass.
Yeah,
400.
She's like, make it $400.
Yeah,
which in 80s money is like, damn, $1,000.
Well, I mean, we already know it is a month and a third rent. For me, that's a lot of fucking money. Like,
right, right, definitely so, man. And so she has a bit of softness and a bit of hardness about her too, where it's like she has weak qualities, but she has enough strength to where she's like, I'm gonna fix my life so I don't have to deal with that shit.
Yeah, I mean, she's a 20-year-old. Like, any 20-year-old, she's got her issues, etc. But, like, she handles herself.
She's out to fix them.
Yeah, she's out to fix them.
So she blows her head off there in the cemetery, and then the end of the movie, I think, is one of the coolest endings of just about any damn horror movie, because we cut to a hospital where she's laid up in a bed and she's got bandages all over her head and one of her eyes is all bandaged over and stuff, where she shot herself in the fucking head. And, the nurse that's working there, you hear the heart monitor beeping and all this kind of stuff. And the nurse is like, don't worry, you're going to be fine. And then she, like, touches her stomach and she's like, both of you. And then the fucking credits roll.
And we also hear before that on the news that the eclipse just ended suddenly.
Yeah.
So, like, the assumption is that the moment she shot herself, the eclipse ended.
Okay. What do you take of that? Because
I first off, it's impossible, but the eclipse itself is impossible because they said earlier that it would be seen from every continent except Antarctica. And that would mean that for a brief period of time, the Earth and the moon just stopped revolving and the Earth stayed. I guess the Earth kept revolving, but like stayed in its position in front of the moon that would cause the eclipse for an entire 24-hour cycle. Like, what?
An eclipse isn't even possible because the Earth is just a disk, dude.
Oh, shit. You're right.
Yeah. This is just NASA tricks, man.
Oh, man. Hey, I wonder what happens, flat Earth people, if you just paid, I don't know, $30 for a weather balloon and $50 for a cheap camera and attached the weather balloon to a camera. Would you ever see a curvature of the Earth?
God damn it.
Just go try it.
People.
Just go try it. Dude. Just go try it. Just for once. Just fucking try it.
Dude, if you were the size of an atom and you were on a basketball, would the basketball look fucking curved, you idiot? No. You're so small you can't see it.
Yeah.
God. These people. Okay. Just quick question. Sidetrack.
These people
while
over
we're
here.
While we're talking about this, how do you explain the rings around Saturn? Is Earth the only flat planet amongst a bunch of other orbs because the rings around Saturn clearly show curvature, or do they just think that shit is fake?
I believe that those people live in an Elder Scrolls or Game of Thrones planet where the Earth is obviously flat and they're just like holes in the sky that allow light to get through. Like, they don't really believe planets exist. So
I'm telling you, dude, I'm going to tell you, again, way off track here, but what I think about this whole fucking flat Earth bullshit that's been propagated around social media and stuff, I really think there is some long table of shady, gray-haired white men somewhere that are controlling everything, right?
They're just getting you to question every fact you've ever known.
It's a control experiment. It's them going, what if we just put out the most preposterous, stupid, been proven wrong 1,000,000 times over, ancient, dumb, caveman, retarded shit.
And if people will believe it, we'll run Donald Trump as our president.
I mean, dude, that's what I'm saying. It's like, let's go ahead and put this out there and tell people it's conspiracy and not to trust the man and they shouldn't trust the man and yada yada. And the truth is being hidden from them. And let's just see if they believe it to see how far we can control them. Because seriously, dude, if people can convince you of stuff that even the fucking ancient Greeks knew was wrong, the fucking Greeks knew the world was round, dude.
Yes. People have known the world's round for a long fucking time. It wasn't a recent discovery.
And if people on top of this chain can introduce ideas through social media to convince you to believe in stuff that's that fucking dumb, what the fuck else can they make you believe? Literally anything, dude. Anything.
Yes.
It's a control experiment. It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's working is the scariest part.
Yes, the scariest fucking part is it worked. It worked.
Oh my god, dude.
So well, you know what? We always forget this. Actually, it didn't work. 3 million more people voted for Hillary Clinton than voted for Trump. People don't approve of Trump. People hate Trump. We always forget that, and you know what? That's a part of their fucking stupid idea, is that if we get people to believe other people are that goddamn dumb, we'll always be fighting each other. And if we're fighting each other, we're not paying attention to the fact that while Comey was testifying, they were also passing laws to get rid of banking regulations.
Oh, exactly. So they can just fuck us over without any sort of penalty.
Even if you're trying to pay attention to what's really going on, they've always got you looking the wrong way.
And now this has come full circle into being last podcast on the left, Dead and Lovely style.
Ha
Boom, shakalaka.
He's on fire.
But for real, flat Earth people, you're fucking retarded.
Yeah, you are. So
I love though that the way that ends with just you'll be okay, both of you. It is just so ominous, dude. And I hope to God that they never make a sequel to this. Please, God, do not let them make a sequel to this because the ambiguity of that ending, I'm so stoked about. I love the fact that like you're like, is Ullman still alive? Is the Crone still alive?
We're not in sequel range anymore. This is the thing that I love about covering movies.
Goddamn, tell that to fucking Independence Day.
Yeah, well, I know, but like covering movies like The Witch, covering movies like House of the Devil, Innkeepers, covering movies like Lucky McKee's The Woman or May. These are all indie horror movies. This movie's budget was $900,000. It made $101,000 in the box office. This movie was never made to be in movie theaters. It was made to be sold to Netflix, to Hulu, to Shudder, to streaming services. This movie was made for constant streaming. It is an evergreen product. It is something that you can look back on 20 years from now and still watch and say that's good. So, like, it's a new model of horror movie that I love. I love these new horror movies that are these real low-budget affairs. They're made by real horror movie lovers, people who really know what they're doing. And everybody in them is past that point where they think like, oh, I'm acting in a horror movie, like, oh, where's my career gonna go? Like, you have so many great horror movie actors now, people who are veterans, who have been doing it forever and have realized like, this is a legitimate career, this isn't something I need to be ashamed of, this is something I need to go in wholeheartedly and just fucking be a great horror movie actor. And so we're getting a lot of this now, and we're gonna keep covering these great indie horror movies that have been coming out in the past 15 years.
Well, but that's, you know what, that's nothing new. Like all of the great horror movies, well, with few exceptions like The Shining and stuff like that, have come from the independent scene. I mean, the first Halloween, Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, exactly.
Even modern ones like Blair Witch or Paranormal Activity. Yeah. Or Saw, which, not that those are the best, but they made waves and those were independent movies.
Yes, and studios, I think now, like, they realize that they can go back to the well. They can go back to, like, certain ideas in certain movies. They can remake things. But The House of the Devil is never going to be one of those movies that they're going to be like, if we made a sequel to that, it would be gangbusters. Like, it's always going to be a movie that makes money over time. It continues to bring money in. But it was never meant to be a blockbuster. Yeah.
It's kind of like a great metal record or something like that.
Yes, exactly.
I really fucking love this movie. I love how you can tell that it was made with such a respect and such a reverence for that era and that style of horror movie. Again, it is not a pastiche. It is not an over-exaggeration of 80s horror decadence. Like, okay, there's not even boobs in this movie.
No, not at all. Yeah, there's nothing of that sort. It is. I mean, it's like if Ty West had been born early enough, this is a movie that just would have happened in the 80s. Like, it would have been like Black Christmas or something like that, where it would be a movie that occurred. Everybody looks at it and thinks that is amazing. It inspires a bunch of other movies. Like, that's what this is.
You could have seen this in a double feature with Black Christmas or Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah. Or any of those movies from that time period, and you would not know that you were watching a movie from fucking 2009.
As far as likes and dislikes with this movie, it's hard to come up with dislikes. Do you have any dislikes of this movie, Ben?
Some of the son's acting is maybe a little too squirrely for me. Okay. But it's just barely. Like the scenes where he's standing around the pentagram at the very end of the movie and he's kind of looking like, like it's almost just a little too, but it never quite gets there. But you could tell he was almost thinking of taking it there. He could have underplayed himself because this is such an understated movie. He could have underplayed himself just a little bit. I can't really think of much else. I know that some people have a problem with the pacing. I totally don't. I love the fact that I know I mean, hell, dude, like, even the title of the movie, The House of the Devil, you know she's in danger the whole time. If you're bored watching this movie, you haven't paid attention to the fact that she is in fucking danger. And you know it, and she doesn't know it the whole time.
I would say the title to a movie is like the instructions at the top of a test. Just read it. and then go through the test. Like, don't skip the instructions.
Yeah, that should inform you. I suppose that maybe while she was in the house by herself, maybe there even could have been a few more little bumps of, like, her getting suspicions that she was in some sort of a shady situation. You know, like maybe if she found, like, a drip of blood on the carpet somewhere, or just something that belonged to one of the original family members that would not have belonged to the Ullmans. But I don't really know how you would weave that in, because the Ullmans are really just an unknown presence through the whole movie. So I don't really know how you would do that, other than, again, something super obvious like finding blood or finding the killed family or anything like that. So, but I mean, frankly, even after watching this movie 100 times, I'm very, very stoked about the pacing of the movie. I think that is fucking great. So I can't really think of a whole lot of dislikes. What are your likes about the movie? The things that really stand out to you?
Gosh, it's great. One of the things we haven't mentioned so far is that whenever Vincent shows back up at the house, and he's I guess this is right after she gets drugged, he puts Megan's corpse in the hall next to the phone.
Man, yeah.
And there are a couple different shots where both he and she are sliding on her blood. There's so much blood.
That's fucking gross.
Yeah.
And that does lead to a huge discrepancy. Sometimes Samantha's white robe is completely red in a few shots, and then other ones it's kind of splattered red. That's a pretty big discrepancy, but common of films of that era, so it's like, I'll even give that a pass.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it is the refuge now of horror movies to set your movie in the 70s or 80s, because the primary thing that kills horror movies is cell phones. Like,
right.
The moment a cell phone exists, it's like, well, why is this happening? Call somebody.
Now, that brings me to one of two alternate endings that I have for this movie.
Okay.
One ending would be that after she shoots herself in the cemetery, police show up, and the police are in completely modern cars, and basically you find out that it actually is like 2009. Basically, those two girls died because they were fucking hipsters that wanted all this old school 80s technology and, like, didn't want cell phones. They're like, why the fuck didn't they have cell phones? And this one cop's like, well, she had a goddamn Walkman on her. It's like, they're these hipster trash that don't want nothing new. This is what they fucking get.
And then you see a DeLorean parked across the street.
Well, because even the son looks like a damn Silver Lake hipster today.
He does.
Wearing
his
flannel and his he's probably got damn beard oil and all kinds. He's vaping all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, he probably goes to Vape Goat in Highland Park.
I like the idea though that they're just hipsters that are shutting down modern technology, and that's why they get killed.
Yeah, that's a good ending.
Yeah.
Okay, so. It's hard to not say this is like a perfect 10 movie.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that's a conceit of the movie, is that, like, if the acting's bad or if anything's bad, it's like, it's still like an homage to the 80s. So it's hard not to call it a 10, but I can only give it a 9, because I feel like, despite the fact that there's a great buildup of tension, I don't actually end up very scared in this movie. I love what happens, but none of it sticks with me.
I see what you mean. I can buy that, man. I love it. I think that, you know, we've been talking the whole time about how it's very, very 80s, but you know what? Honestly, in terms of a lot of the tone and the pacing and the suspense and the just sort of waiting for shit to hit the fan, you know, honestly, it more resembles classic Hitchcock than anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, people that watch this movie and they're like, oh, nothing happens. I'm like an hour into this movie and nothing's fucking happened. It's like, dude, go watch Psycho. Tell me how much action there is in that movie. But the point isn't the action. It's how unnerved you are waiting for shit to happen. To me, this movie is very much Hitchcock channeled through the lens of an 80s 16mm horror movie. And as I mentioned on previous podcasts, I was totally not allowed to watch scary movies as a kid growing up, but I was allowed to watch Hitchcock. So I grew up watching, The Birds and Vertigo and
North by Northwest.
Psycho, North by Northwest, and Rope, which is one of my favorites. Rope is fucking awesome. And so maybe that's where I kind of got a taste for some of these more slow burn kind of movies. And this very much reminds me of a Hitchcockian sort of flick in terms of the pacing and how much action per waiting ratio there is in this movie. I would probably go, like 9 or 9.5 out of 10. I really, really, really do enjoy this movie. It's one that I will watch with anybody, anytime. It's a perfect Halloween movie to put on. And it's really just fun, too, to like watch it with people that don't know anything about it. And then, afterwards be like, oh, yeah, this was made in 2009. And they won't believe you. They just won't believe you.
It's so 80s. Yeah, it's perfect.
I really, really enjoy it. Now, let me ask you a question. This is a new thing I want to spring on you.
Oh, no.
That I want to start doing on our reviews.
Yes, I have been a member of the Communist Party. Oh, no. Shit. I almost got blackballed in Hollywood just now.
Outed. So, if you could change anything about this movie, what would it be?
Oh. Wow.
What would you change about it? Do you want me to hit you with... I've got 2.
Yes, please.
All right. For 1, whenever those title credits roll, I wish that it was playing the song Genesis by Ghost off of the Opus Eponymous record, which is an instrumental track. It's the last song on the record.
Uh-huh.
And it has this really, like, epic, kind of ominous, harrowing, like, you kind of feel like it's the start of something, even though it's the last track on the record.
Yeah.
Kind of feel, which I think would be perfect considering she's been, impregnated with, apparently, the Antichrist.
Right.
That's my first thing that I would change. Do you want to know my second?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. So... Imagine, if you will, this movie is 100% just like it is, right?
Uh-huh.
Up until the scene where Ullman is chasing her through the graveyard. So she's already had the ritual performed on her.
Yeah.
She's killed the family. She's running away, tripping balls, all this stuff, right?
Uh-huh.
And so Ullman is chasing her through the graveyard. She's got the gun. And he's like, no, don't do anything crazy. You've been chosen. You're carrying this precious vessel, yada, yada, yada.
Uh-huh.
And then what she does is she lifts up her robe and pulls down her drawers, and you see that she has a dick, and she goes, I'm not pregnant. I'm a motherfucking guy. How dare you assume my gender?
Oh,
fuck
motherfucker.
You. Suck my dick. I'm not pregnant. And then she blows his head off.
Boom, bitch. Get out the way. Yeah.
Give it the sleepaway camp.
Yeah,
ending.
sleepaway camp it. Okay.
But it's also partially a social justice, don't assume my gender ending.
Yeah. I think the one thing I might change is that maybe at the end, instead of saying both of you and touching her stomach, she says both of you and she has a baby. Like the baby's already born.
Oh, okay. Maybe. I mean, what if she said all 9 of you and she octomommed her? And you go, what?
Yeah. Then she woke up and she was like, I'm going to do a porn.
Oh, God. That's the sequel to this movie, is the Octomom porn.
Is James Dean and the Octomom.
Oh, God. That's a prequel.
Yeah.
I really, really, really do enjoy this movie. It is a great flick, man. Really enjoyed it. And it's a fun watch, fun to talk to. I love that it's all about Satan. I love that it's slow. Really, really dig it. Can't recommend it enough. If you think that, although I will say, man, it's one of those ones that, like, I can understand when people don't like it. If your idea of horror is being grossed out by ridiculous amounts of gore and torture, or if your idea of horror is a bunch of jump scares and soundtrack stabs and flashing lights or whatever, this is not for you. Go watch, whatever the newest installment of Saw is or whatever.
Sinister. Go watch Sinister.
Yeah, exactly. That's more your speed. But if you like classic flicks, if you like The Shining, if you like Don't Look Now, if you like Rosemary's Baby, if you like The Omen, if you like Psycho, this is for you.
Yeah.
Well, you know what just occurred to me, Steve?
What it was?
I don't know what movie we're doing next.
Oh, no. What error shall we do?
We had talked about doing a good old school classic, like perhaps maybe a John Carpenter's Halloween.
I'm with that. Let's do that.
You on it?
Yeah. I love John Carpenter. You wouldn't have to convince, like, seriously, if I was on my deathbed and my children and grandchildren were gathered around me, I don't have either of those yet, but they're all gathered around me and they all want to hear the last thing I have to say, and right as I open my mouth, I'm about to say something, and somebody said, "What about John Carpenter's The Thing?" I'd be like, "Let's talk about it."
Yeah, I love it.
I love it. That was great. And then I would die. So yeah, John Carpenter's Halloween, one of my favorites. So
Me
yes,
too. I love
absolutely.
it, man. So maybe we do that next time. Well, in the meantime, Steve, where can they find us on them social medias?
Well, you can always email us, deadandlovelypod@gmail.com, or as most people find us on the Instagrams or Twitter @deadlovelypod. We also have a Facebook group. And I believe, I'm not sure what all these people outside of my apartment are doing, but they have a lot of signs that say "We love Ben and Steve," etc. I don't know. Maybe you can join them? Just show up.
Yeah. I would urge you guys to write us an iTunes review. It helps us show up on the charts and searches a whole lot better if you do so. Please go on iTunes and give us a good review. Even if your review is just saying, "Great," that makes a huge difference and helps us show up. So do use G-rated language. They won't post reviews that have bad words and stuff, so be nice about it. You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter @BenEllerGuitars. Where can they find you, Steve?
@Steven Spratling. That's Steven with a V. The only way to spell it.
Well, in the meantime, we will see you guys next week, and we'll talk about a little bit of Halloween. You guys have been absolutely lovely, and we have been
dead.
Bye now.